welcome everyone to another episode of Inside CKP. I am your host, Jeremy Como. That's all for that now. These two, it's old home week over at CKP today. We've got some regulars on the show. Let's say. So we've got Melissa Olthoff, like I've said in the past, lives on the show, and we've got a copy back.
No lies detected.
And then we got Casey Moores, otherwise known as Moops. And he is also a regular on the show. So welcome, guys. It's good to have you back. But is this y'all's first collaboration? No? It is?
Wise, yes. And even story-wise, I guess we haven't actually collaborated. We've just twinned a bunch of them. But so our first actual author novel.
Well, congratulations.
Written book. I'm so excited.
Okay, so y'all finally got together to write, because I know y'all are old friends, but this is the first time that y'all get to write together, which is awesome. I'm excited about that. So before we go too far, let's let everybody know where they can find you, promote anything you want to promote. We're just gonna get that out of the way now.
Ladies first. All right. Well, like you said, I'm Melissa Olthoff. I write sci-fi, fantasy, and I sneak in romance, or sometimes I just throw it right in your face at this point because I am who I am. You can find me at melissaolthoff.net. I just spent like the past, dear God, 3 days revamping that whole thing. So go check it out. It's shiny. It's new. It's awesome. And if it's not, just tell me it's pretty, and we'll go from there.
Tell me I'm pretty.
Right? Just tell me it's pretty. It's
fine. My website's pretty.
Just humor, because it's been a day. But you can also find me on Amazon, Facebook, Twitter, all the places, including chriskennedypublishing.com.
All right. Oops.
All right. You can also find me on Facebook, Instagram. I'm starting to Twitter a little bit more. And I got my website, caseymoores.net, where you can definitely keep up with me. And yeah, you got my Amazon author page as well. So any of those places is fine. BookBub as well. Please follow me on BookBub. That's a big one now. Do that.
So wait, now what? I don't know about BookBub. Not an author. So why is it important for people to follow and all that BookBub?
I think BookBub is the most straightforward way to find, review, promote, sell books across the board. So I'm kind of a big fan of BookBub. Goodreads is awesome, but it's also just sort of everything. It's sort of, it's, I don't know. BookBub is the most direct
where it's at.
BookBub is the place to be. It's the most direct way to track your best, your favorite authors, and find your favorite books. So go there, follow us.
Yes. Oh, and also for your authors, wherever you find them, like, rate, review. It really helps them out. I say it every time. If you haven't signed up for your favorite authors' newsletters, go ahead and do that. Sometimes you get free stuff, free books and stuff. So do that, and it really helps out your authors, especially your independent authors. So go do that. All right, so we are here to celebrate the latest release of you guys, and you can see it right over my shoulder. Forlorn Hope, and and this is a part of the Blood and Armor series.
Mm-hmm.
But Melissa, this is your first book in this series, along with Casey. And Casey, this is number 3 for you.
Number 3.
All right.
Bill wrote Never Again, 1, and then we co-authored No Fail and No Further, and then Melissa and I worked together to crank out Forlorn Hope, and it's awesome.
It is awesome.
For those looking for a good series to read, here it is. Go check it out. Go buy it now if you haven't already bought it, or buy it for a friend. That's fine too. And I am digging these covers.
Right? Jake Caleb knocked them out of the park. They are gorgeous.
Yes, I am digging these covers. Each one gets a little bit better than the one before it, and so kudos. It's hard to keep on knocking it out of the park. So um, now, speaking of covers, let's talk about this one. What are we seeing in this cover? Who's the character, and what's the scene?
Melissa, who is that?
That is Nisty Khan, and she is a little bit angry in that scene for reasons. Reasons that are somehow much worse and bigger than, her country being invaded again.
Mm-hmm. And Nisty Khan was originally introduced in Never Again. She was one of the first original 3 trainees of the GOG combat suit, the General Ordnance Garment combat suit, back in Never Again. She goes off on one of the first missions with Sergeant Major Jaziri to basically stop an Iranian raid. And then we see her in No Fail. She's rising rapidly through the ranks. She's already a captain by the time No Fail happens. And then at the beginning of Forlorn Hope picks up at the end of No Fail and picks up exactly where we left her, essentially. And the book largely follows her, but you'll also see Qazi, that was the character I based them off. Qazi Shanadari, that we saw the medic, that we also followed in No Fail. Mm-hmm. And there's a few other colorful characters we're going to get to see. Well, we get to see some of Timo Sheen and a few others there. But Melissa, also, what's that in the background, and why would that be important to things that happen in the storyline?
It looks like a crashed helicopter of some kind, and
what do helicopters have on top of there?
It's just so weird. Like, you can't give a girl access to powered armor or mechs of any kind and not give her a blade to stab people with. So sometimes our characters have to improvise a little bit.
Makes sense. All right.
Well, we've got your combined author name.
No.
No, we're not going to go with that one.
No.
Progress. Yeah.
All right, we'll just spit. Just spitting things out. Seeing what sticks. Well, Nick, if you have other suggestions, go forth.
No, don't tell him that. Oh my God, why? Why would you do that to me?
I might as well ask him to do it because he's gonna do it anyway.
Fair.
Yeah. What is this?
Malaise.
It doesn't roll off the tongue. All right, Bill, thanks for posting the review. I'm sure we'll see it soon. Everybody else, if you haven't done it, go do it now.
Not to complain, but Amazon also hasn't seen fit to categorize it yet. So
it's selling, but Amazon is being a little bit.
We'll see.
Slow.
Yeah. So I think I've heard once or twice on this show, Melissa, that you are a fan of romance. I think you might have mentioned it at the top of the show.
I mean, a little.
Yeah.
Right.
So, and I know you like to put it in your books and everything. Were you able to do so in said book that we are speaking of now?
Okay. For the record, I was gonna behave because I firmly believe that when you are co-authoring something with somebody who has been already writing in the series, that there is a senior and a junior author. And in this case, I was very much the junior author. And I very much told Casey, no romance. I am fine with it. It's cool. And then Bill Fawcett ordered me to do it. And I went, yes! I remember it anyways.
All right, you got to. Well, I mean, orders and orders.
Right. I mean, it's a military book, right?
Yeah.
And we, in all seriousness, though, I think we came up with a way to make the relationships and the character development work in the context of an invasion and fighting. And sometimes things happen. No spoilers, but. Thank you, Bill. You're the sweetest.
I mean, it was sort of a challenge because obviously 1, 2, and 3 were very heavily military science fiction. It was very military thriller style, focused on the warrior. There wasn't much room for any real romance in there, and that's definitely not what we established for the readers. But
Right.
you know, as Bill apparently feels at the very least, you know, we worked in a way that was definitely organic to the story and was definitely still didn't detract from the fact that you're reading a military science fiction, military thriller novel that still follows the mold of the three that came before it. So,
well, and I find whenever you do these relationships, as has already been stated, when you do it well, it helps you get a little bit more buy-in into the characters, and you care about what happens to them a little bit more, and things like that. So, as I am personally not a huge fan of romance, it does have its purpose.
Thank you.
And we also don't.
I will say though that Casey did an excellent job in book 3, because we kind of, when we were talking about this, we kind of skipped over book 3. So book 3 and book 4 are almost happening almost at the same time, right? And he has a character or two in book 3 that I love. I love Kevy so much, and it's very subtle. You can easily read it as there's nothing there at all, but I say there is because I read it and I loved it. Therefore it exists because I squealed like a freaking girl during a few points involving explosions of the actual explodey kind, to be clear. It was really well done. I was very, very, very proud.
All right. Well, Maya says the romance works. And we're gonna get off of romance because it's not a romance novel. I know.
Like I
who
said,
I'm talking to.
It exists in there, not to scare off the previous readers. It is not a romance novel. It just that has that element in there tied in, as we were discussing, to develop the characters, develop the situation, develop the emotions of the characters as things progress through the story. So,
I just had to bring it up because I know I'm talking to.
I will say though, like as an avid romance reader, this I would not qualify as a romance. It has a subplot, but it doesn't take over the story. I behaved. I did.
Good girl.
Thank you.
Well, so speaking of first time writing together, how'd it go?
Awesome.
I think it went great.
Well, let's put it this way, and I say this somewhat, I don't know, ashamedly, but the first two novels, No Fail and No Further, Bill and I took 8 months on each of them, and I think Melissa and I knocked out Forlorn Hope in about 6 weeks, and that was largely on her. 1, to keep me going and keep me moving, and 2, because she just kept writing, and then I was like catch up and like, oh, I gotta plan the next thing. What happens next? Where are we? So
to counter that, my speed was all panic writing, like, oh god, we have to get this done because due date. Panic. And 2, I had very much the easy part, right? Casey spent so much time researching the culture, the customs, the area, like, the history. I had the easy part where I just put words on the page and I followed the scenes that we talked about. But I also left a lot of brackets saying cool weapon goes here, Kurdish name goes here. I have no idea what this terrain is. Like he had the hard part, so to speak. Just saying. Yes, we managed to work together very well and very quickly, but again, panic.
Mm-hmm. Well, because
there was definitely a lot of bouncing and whatever what was the word from 7 Habits of Highly Effective People, synergizing. There wasn't it wasn't like she would give an idea and I'd be like, no, we're doing this, or I'd say something and she'd be like, no, that's stupid. It pretty much was just like, let's do that. Yeah, let's do that. And then we're gonna do that. And then we're gonna do that. Ooh, what if I tie in this? Oh yeah, that's awesome. That's pretty much how
right.
Most of it went.
We bounced really well off each other, and this is technically the first time that we have co-written anything together. But like Casey mentioned earlier, we've paired stories, we've twinned them together in other anthologies, and I mean, our whole writing relationship started with me reading for him, mm-hmm. and eventually our whole Brad George relationship with the just like, hey, Melissa, I need to know this. And then he just talks, and I listen and go, Okay, cool. Thanks. And I do nothing.
I don't know how to change the scene. Should I change the scene this way? You think I should change the scene this way? Okay, I'll change the scene this way.
Ocean's 11.
Do I have that? Oh, I don't have it loaded. Doggone it. I might have to, while y'all are talking, I might have to find that in.
Yes, you do.
Think back to the one that we have on top of each other where it's like the George and Brad and then Melissa and I from Fantasy from 50 years back.
We need to do a second one. I have decided. So for anybody that's watched Loki season 1, there's that one point where Sylvie is looking at Loki going, I don't know how to do this. And Loki's like, I don't even know what we're doing. I'm like, look, it's us. I don't know how to do this. That was me almost this entire book. Like, I don't know what I'm doing.
Oh, I can't find it.
I think it's switched to, like, I was the one that I don't know how to do this, and you're like, I don't even know what we're doing.
I mean, pretty much, yeah.
So
it works.
So, like, Marisa has co-written with a bunch of people as well, and it's a little different each time. You know, some people they use friendly competition, and so well, I wrote this many words today. How many did you write? Oh, really? And and then sometimes it's mutual, camaraderie. It's like, oh, you've got it, you can go do it. That's how was that for you guys?
It was probably the last one. I mean, Melissa was definitely, she'd charge ahead and she'd be like, I got 3,000 words out today. And they'd be like, I wrote something, so I didn't completely fail us today. So I'd say it was more the fact that she was charging ahead drug me along and kept me moving and kept me working. And then, I don't know.
Well,
so it was really like a competition, but it was
panic.
Yeah, mutual encouragement.
6 weeks, that's fast.
That
is super fast.
Yeah, but I mean, we only had to write half the novel each, so it helped.
Oh yeah. Well, I mean, that's the great thing about co-authoring. So
right.
Yeah.
Now, Casey, other than Melissa and Bill, have you co-written with some other people?
Yeah, I co-wrote Unshackled with Jamie Ibsen, and we're actually now working on something else together that was actually spawned from what we worked on before, and that was a lot of fun. And that was very similar, but we also basically picked our scenes. It was you write this character, I'll write these characters, and then we had a plan, and then we completely shredded the plan, and we just sort of went off and did our own thing anyway. And then we found our way to the end somehow, and it was awesome. But we had a lot of fun doing it.
One of my favorite
Melissa and I think we actually started with that plan that you were going to write Nisty and I was going to write Kazi, and then we just randomly was just like, you know what, I think I got this scene, I'll write this scene, and then I took back Nisty and you took over the bad guy, and we just we flip-flopped in random ways just based on what we were seeing. I think when we were talking about it, we were sort of doing our plotting, we'd be on the phone and be like, well, if you envision this scene really well, why don't you just go for it and see what happens.
Yep.
So we had a plan, and we had a plan as to who we were going to write. We shredded that part. We didn't really shred the where we're going plan, but
or as Maya says, mutual panic.
Yeah. Yes.
I mean, it worked, didn't it?
Yeah.
It was
fun. Marissa, I think, operates on that about every other thing she writes. It's just, oh shit, this is due. Wait, okay, yeah, we're well past the 10 minutes. We can curse now.
Heck yeah. I still don't curse.
Yes. Good job. So, like I said, Melissa's on this show quite often.
All the time. And most of the time, we don't reach the 10-minute mark on the Cursey McCursey Pants over here. Well, it's usually because you have bad influences along with you. So it's not entirely. Your wife is not a bad influence. We encourage each other.
Wait, this is my bullshit meter right here. The more lines you see, the heavier the bullshit. Case in point, we did a Feral Ladies earlier in the week and did out the gate. Anyway.
It wasn't me.
Put it back under the... Oh. All right, Nick. Stop being mean. Let's see. equal opportunity shenanigans.
I'm ignoring Nick.
Yes.
Always.
Shenanigans.
Drink.
So,
Sorry.
oh yes. Oh yeah. For the people watching now and in the future, anytime you hear the word shenanigans, please drink the drink you are drinking. Yeah, so it sounds like y'all kind of juggled around. Nobody was really in charge of any particular aspect of the book. Let's catch people up. But, for people that this might be their first time hearing about the series or anything. Let's talk about the basics of the world and where we've come from and where we are, without, of course, ruining it for everyone.
Well, I will jump in real quick and say that, so while me and Casey came up with our initial plotting in a bar, no joke, plan, we still worked with Bill Fawcett on, one, making sure it fit with his overall arcing plan for the series, because there will be more books after this. And he kind of nudged us in a couple of directions and helped tighten things up a lot. So he was involved in the plotting process as well.
Yeah, when you say nobody was in charge, actually, ultimately, I'd say Bill was in charge in the end of the direction that to make sure that it got to the end state that he needed for how this thing is going to develop. So, we were working together. I sort of had a little bit of lead on the details of how it was on the plotting of those things, because I've been working on it and I filled in those details. But like I say, everything is ultimately according to the Bill Fawcett plan for how this is going to progress over time. These first 4 books, just to be clear, are not the end of the series. This is sort of maybe the first set, the first stage or phase, if you want to say that.
Phase 1, yeah.
Phase 1. We are phase 1 complete, and there will definitely be 2 or 3 or 4 more, ish. We sort of casually said we're somewhere between 12 to 16 books, depending on how we play it out. So.
So you brought in the lovely and talented Melissa. Are you going to bring in any other authors?
So far, I think it's just going to be Bill and Melissa and I. It'd be awesome if Melissa and I continue these going forward under Bill's guidance. That'd be, I think, my ideal methodology, considering how that went.
Oh no, I'm so sad. I have to co-write with Obi-Wan Casey some more.
He's like, oh no,
the horror.
But who knows? I'd say in terms of like making this Chris Kennedy shared universe sort of model, I'm not really sure if this series lends to it. But it's definitely worth discussion. Like Casey Azell just worked out, came up with the her new series, and we got the anthology out for Horseman Head anthologies, Fallen World, Salvage Universe. They have their anthologies. I'm not really sure if there is room in this world to do that. Maybe there is, but we're not really entertaining that at this point, I guess.
And ultimately, that would be a Bill Fawcett decision, not us.
Yeah. Yes, definitely.
So if this wraps up phase 1, do you have any idea when y'all might start phase 2?
Right now, we're still taking a big, deep breath and collecting our wits. Like I said, Melissa's got things to work on. I got something I'm trying to work on. So maybe we'll push through that, and I'd say 4 to 6 or months, or a few more months, and maybe we'll reattack, as we say in the Air Force, when we want to re-engage and get going on the next round, and how we're going to do that. But I will say, every now and then, at my current job, I have a mission planning day, and there's some interaction, but there's a little bit of free time for my brain, and those are the days where I just jot down lots of ideas, and I might have planned out a part of the next book during my last mission planning day. So we'll see what happens.
You messaged me about it. I got very excited.
I lose ideas.
But. So let's get people excited. Let's talk about the book. Let's kind of, for people who have already, maybe not read the series yet, but are like, maybe excited about it. Let's talk about the world, the conflict that's going on, and kind of where it's taken us.
All right.
You want to take this one, Casey?
Yeah, starting back at Never Again, that Bill Fawcett wrote entirely, created the universe, created the General Ordnance Government suit, created then Colonel Timo Sheen, who was then early on promoted to general, and then created a Kurdish Republic as it starts year 9 of the Kurdish Republic. So this is, in theory, at least 9-ish years in the future, since there is currently no Kurdish Republic. They're an ancient people that have been split between many different countries. I think just for upsetting the British too much, they've been scattered intentionally for political reasons back in the 1900s, but I'm not going to go into that. But anyway, so the Kurds have their own republic for the first time in history. They've got, but the Syrians are invading as that book begins. The Iranians are launching raids and slaughtering people in their cities unopposed. And the Kurds are doing everything they can to try and stop all these different attacks from every direction. And then we enter. I kept screwing up his name, and I actually had to rewrite it at some point. Melissa, help me out.
Tang.
Roger.
We had Roger. We had Simon.
Okay, Roger Tang, who is sort of an eccentric billionaire, and he is sort of an Elon Musk analog, maybe. But he has brings them a canceled DARPA project of a combat suit. And then he shows them the combat suit, shows them the operation, gives them the vert models that were supposed to be destroyed, but they didn't say how they were going to be destroyed. So he gives them to the Kurdish Republic, sets up production, and goes from there. The Iranians invade not long after, but at this point, Timo Sheen has been able to develop a core of these suits, and as I say, hilarity ensues, or a big fight with lots of explosions. In No Fail, won't go into what happens in Never Again or spoil that, but in No Fail, the Iranians, for some reason, decide that they're going to nuke the Kurds into
as one does
existence, as one does, and the Kurds get wind of this. And they launched 3 major deep strikes into Iran to stop the nukes from launching in the first place. They're all, high risk. It's a no-fail mission. If you almost die to stop this from happening, that's what's going to happen. And then, so things happen in that novel. And then in No Further, some international forces are starting to take notice of this little upstart Kurdish Republic with this massive military advantage, and that's becoming a problem for some of their designs in the world. And then, so they're pumping up the Syrian military now, sending them equipment and training, and they're also flooding their ranks with mercenary units with old Russian combat suits and some other combat suits from around the world for the explicit purpose of the GOG combat suit is still a little bit of a closely held secret in the Kurdish Republic, but there are those who have taken notice, and the Iranians have squashed all these stories of their existence because they don't want it, because they're afraid it's going to make them look bad. But people are getting hints, and so there is a coherent plan to try and counter the GOG combat suit at this point. So that's No Further, but No Further is, there's 3 branches of the attack. The northern 2 branches are tracked in No Further. They push all the way to Mosul. They push all the way up to and then down the Zagros Mountains. Things happen in that novel. I'm going to give away that we think victory has been achieved, but then we see in Forlorn Hope that was just one more step in the bad guy of No Further, Burak. He has other plans. That was just a tiny setback for him. He even says that at the end of No Further, that this is just a setback. Victory is still assured, and he goes off somewhere else to continue to make that victory assured. And then we find out in Forlorn Hope, we start getting snippets of what he's been doing over the course of No Further to set up his next contingency, and that's what we're seeing in Forlorn Hope. Melissa, what I miss and what did I say poorly?
So what I would add is that is an excellent summary. I like things happen because I've been, guys. Before Bill even asked me to work in the series with Casey. I was reading them for Casey because it's what we do. Like, I hand him my trash, he hands me his, and then we tell each other how to make it better. So I'd already been reading along with these, and as dark as things can get, one thing that is like held true throughout all 4 books is that there's always hope, right? And resiliency and spirit, and a bunch of characters that are willing to fight and give everything to protect their home. And that's why I don't consider this a dark series, because it's full of hope. And I would say that both Bill and Casey have done an amazing job about giving us characters that we're all rooting for. I was lucky enough to get to play with some of those characters, but most of them were already created and real characters before I even got a chance to join in. So that's my favorite part of the series.
So speaking of characters, since you're new to the series, who was your favorite character to read or write about or hate, or who do you love to hate? Who do you love? All that good stuff.
Okay, yay! So Nisty, of course, is awesome. She is a very complex character. She's not a strong female character like Marisa likes to say. She's strong, but she's also flawed, and she's, like Casey said, she's risen through the ranks so quickly that part of like the main plot of this book is her failing, and failing hard, because that's what happens when you suddenly find yourself in charge of a lot of people without a lot of training or experience. You're going to mess up. And she does.
And you have so many successes, you also start believing in your own invulnerability or your own guaranteed success, or it's always worked before and I'm brilliant and everybody is telling me that. So
yeah, it's tough when you find out you're not quite as brilliant as you started to believe. So she was a lot of fun to write. Casey and I developed Felipe, her love interest, or as we developed him together, right? So we figured out who his character was going to be, how he was going to interact, how he was going to talk. So that was fun. But Lieutenant Baran is my favorite character that I created on my own, because while I did not and could not keep the actual name, he is very much based on one of my old lieutenants. And I needed to give Nisty somebody that she could actually depend on because of reasons. She was going to need somebody to depend on. And she hasn't had a lot of that with the way the Kurdish military currently is at this phase in the series. So Baran was absolutely my favorite. And Eric is a bastard, and I'm glad things happened. That's the one I love to write, and hated him a lot for reasons.
Well, can't let this comment go without.
Hey, Travis. Oh, she ducked it up.
Yeah.
She ducked it up good. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, we might touch on why he said that later. That's a fun story.
It is.
So, Casey, which character do you love to hate? All that good stuff.
Well, we didn't see him in Forlorn Hope, but I love writing Reza Davoud, who Bill created in Never Again. He is such an awesome bad guy, just cruel man to write. And his son as well. Had a lot of fun writing both of them in No Fail. They're 2 entirely different sides of a coin, but still. I guess I got to bring in Kevin Dockery, I guess. Yeah. He's actually based on a real person that Bill knows. Bill can give you the full rundown if you ever talk to him, but short version. In this story, he, in Never Again, was the human, sorry, I've been writing too many other things. the American military, military NCO who demonstrates the use of the Gog suit when they first deliver it. And then you don't see him again, but we brought him back in no further. He's come to assess the current status of the GOG combat suit as Roger Tang has made improvements, developments, and now the USA is like, wait a second, is that the thing that we canceled? Go take a look and see what they're doing. And he comes in as part of a team of researchers who are basically combat veterans who are being hired to test the equipment before it gets pushed along to the Kurdish military. And he gets involved in that, and he finds himself a little bit deeper, more heavily involved over time. And then we do see him involved in Forlorn Hope in one of the culminating sequences. So see him again.
It's a lot of fun
in the next step up. So the big new awesome thing in Forlorn Hope, there's a little bit of an adjustment, a little bit of an advancement for the GOGs. There's a few of them in Forlorn Hope, but the big one that Bill had been planning for a while and kept pushing me and was like, no, I think it's still a little too soon. He was like, okay, well, it's happening in this book. So we finally released the Major Armament General Ordnance Garment, or the Magog. And it's basically a bigger, heavier, better armored GOG that carries the big, heavy weapons that you've wanted to see GOGs carrying before. The basic GOG combat suit is a very simple design, and it's a very standard design across the board, with a .338 caliber rifle on one arm, a railgun on the other arm, grenade launchers over the back, targeting system, all that stuff.
Possibly some helicopter rotor blades in hand. You never know.
If you need them. These now there's one that carries a 20 millimeter Gatling gun. There's autocannon, sorry. The one carries javelin missiles around. One carries the Igla S anti-air missiles.
They have battle buddies.
And they have battle buddies, the little loaders, the little smaller dogs that carry around their ammo behind them and reload them and help them do the things. They can operate independently, but they're much more effective with their battle buddy. Did we name the battle buddies? I don't think we did, and I'm not sure if I want to now. But
I don't know if we did or not, but the basic idea was that, like, oh, freaking sweet, we've got these bigger, stronger, faster, awesomer ones, but they burn through power like you read about, which is why the other reason they need their little battle buddies is batteries.
Mm-hmm. So we had a comment saying bayonets. There are blades in Forlorn Hope, as we already said. They're sort of makeshift, and there is a reason that the GOG combat suits weren't assigned blades yet.
Please pull up Casey's comment.
Right?
Exactly. I'm like, where on this battlefield can I scavenge blades from? Oh, look, there's a helicopter. That'll work.
Not wrong. Is that the suit that we're seeing on the cover here, or is that?
No, that is not a GOG. That is I don't know if Nisty was ever in.
That's Nisty. So it's just a GOG.
Regular GOG.
I mean, yeah, it's still a badass suit. So.
Yeah.
Now this is the first time we see someone's face on a cover.
Yep.
Is there a reason?
Yep.
For that we can talk
about? Yeah, because this is largely Nisty's book.
Okay.
So, while you will see other POVs, like you said, it's Nisty centric, and we really wanted. And this, honestly, the cover was Casey's idea, and I'm like, oh my god, you're brilliant! Yes, all the yes.
Good cover.
But I mean, her face, like, we needed rage, and I think J. Caleb captured it wonderfully. Like,
oh yeah,
vengeance and rage.
Now, Casey, we've talked about some of the battle scenes and how they've kind of evolved from book to book. What kind of new things battle scene wise can we expect in the book without giving it away?
Well, I'm going to say largely the GOG is a rapidly mobile weapon system, so rapid strikes, moving quickly, keep moving, and that's what it's been forever again. The GOGs were involved in a lot of deep, rapid strikes to shatter the enemy's morale, and no fail. It was 3 small, separate, deep strikes, but they were moving rapidly over Iranian territory, using stealth, staying hidden, striking when and where they wanted, evaporating into the mountains when they were done. In no further there's a lot of stand-up fighting, but by the conventional forces, but we see these GOGs being deployed those same ways, and strike here, withdraw, strike here, move around, keep shifting, keep the enemy guessing. In Forlorn Hope, one of the major problems is that the forces on that front don't have that luxury. They can't strike and retreat. They have to hold the line. They have to grind and slow down the Syrians as much as possible, because the fighting is driving towards their capital. And if they lose that, if it turns into a city fight in their capital, they're going to have to sue for peace. There's no real way around it. They could let Mosul grind itself to pieces, as has been done several times in history. But if the Kurds, if the enemy reaches the Kurdish capital, then they're going to lose they're going to lose the ability to continue fighting. They're going to lose their heart, and they're going to lose their source of industry, everything. So there are going to be the standard GOG deep strikes, and they're going to quick strikes and raids and things like that. But there's also going to be stand-up fighting, holding the line in ways that GOGs really aren't meant to deploy, but they have to in some of these cases. And that even comes up with one of the GOG commanders later on, when Nisty is begging for forces. And he's like, I don't have any. It's a great idea you've got there if you even wanted to, if you could somehow make it play out, but I can't give you nothing. So, which leads to some other things happening.
I'm already getting a little bit right here. I haven't read it yet, but I'm getting it right here. Just, fighting. It's about the guy next to you, and we got to hold the line and everything. So I'm getting excited, a little emotional right here. Well, as Casey reiterated, that chick was pissed. Now we've said she's pissed, and she's pissed for reasons.
No. Yes, she is.
But we can't say why she's pissed.
I mean, isn't the invasion of your country enough to be pissed? I mean,
I'd be really angry.
That's a general. Everybody's everybody's a little upset about that. I get it.
I mean, she said she had that major failure, and she's really upset about that too.
Yeah, there's other reasons, and if you guys want to know what they are, read the book, and then you can come yell at us later. We'll be around.
Okay. All right, I tried. Everybody in Milan, I tried. Go read the book. With that being said, what we already talked about what you love about Carrie. What do you love? Let's do the hard sell. What do you love about this book? What do you that you put into it that you want other people to know? I guess your elevator speech.
So on Discord, one of the readers over in Salvage, specifically Space Hyenas, I think it was, asked me to. He's like, I haven't read any of them yet. Sell it to me in 9 words or less. And I'm like, bleh, bleh, bleh. And what my brain spat out was powered armor, epic battles, made our editor cry. And I really wasn't sad about that, but I mean, Casey has a pretty good pitch, I think. But powered armor and epic battles, yes, you do. You do. I know you do.
Okay, well.
The fate of the Kurdish Republic.
Yeah. Desperate fighting, all the odds, and bigger, badder GOG suits.
I'm excited about that because they were already
along the lines of made our editor cry. We killed a lot of people that we liked, and I made myself cry.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not even joking. I actually got on a call with Casey Zell. I'm like, I was very upset, and then I had to write that scene that made me cry from the bad guy's perspective. So I had to do it twice. It's mean.
So you had to go to a dark place, huh?
I needed emotional support, mochas.
Sorry.
Love you. Oh. Hey, I was supposed to write this scene. Like, yeah, I can do it. It's fine.
Well, and for those of you who didn't watch the last couple episodes for this series, go watch them because Casey and I talk about some of the fight scenes in those books, and I got excited about those. And if it's going to escalate or just as good but different, I'm excited to read that. So
Yeah, to clarify what you said, the fighting in all three different books, it has an entirely different character from one book to the next. That's really the key takeaway. So, yeah, there are always dog suits, but how the fighting plays out is different in every book, drastically.
Well, and some of that from the writer's perspective is how can we make this scene different, still like have the same elements to it, but not repeat what we've already done, or in this case, what Casey and Bill, or what Bill has already done. So that was kind of fun. Casey let me write a number of the battle scenes, and that was where I was like, I don't know how to do this, and then he's like, do it anyways. So I did. But it was fun figuring out like how to do like slightly different tweaks to it. I think my favorite involved utilizing the self-destruct sequence a little bit proactively.
Yeah, for those who haven't read yet, the God combat suit is a very closely guarded secret, and Bill establishes early on right from the outset of Never Again, when they start operating in large forces, that these suits will not be captured by the enemy, period. If a soldier dies in a combat suit, that suit will be detonated by their commanders or by their fellow soldier. Sometimes they're cratering and becomes known as cratering, and sometimes they're cratering themselves because they know that they're done. And yeah, Melissa plays with that a little bit. Tactically.
I did tactically explore that a little bit, because I'm like, Misty is smart. She's smart and she thinks outside the box. How can I play with this scenario a little bit? So that was fun. But I think I'm most proud of the helicopter blades. Yep.
And I mean, just to follow up on that. But Melissa, like you said, I am really proud that you started off saying, "Okay, Casey, you do the battle scenes because that's what you know how to do." And halfway through, I'm not going to say I manipulated in your writing, because you just took them on, but you just started you started taking on some of those combat scenes yourself, and you did great at them.
Thank you.
Hopefully you learned something in the process, but you did awesome taking those on. So
thank you. And shout out to Marisa Wolf, because I messaged her. I messaged her when I was trying to figure out that training scene, because I'm prior Air Force. I don't know ground tactics very well at all. So I'm like, I don't know what to do. And she's like, she sent me a gif of Obi-Wan and Anakin. Like, I have the high ground of like, oh my God, I know what to do. So there you have it. Writers bouncing off other writers.
So speaking of Marisa, she wants y'all to say more about the different fighting. I don't know if we can expound on that too much, but
yeah, I mean, I think I mostly summarized it when I was talking about it. I'm not sure there's more to say than how the nature of how the Gogs are fighting changes from one book to the next. And Never Again, they're stopping the Iranian invasion. It's all about deep strikes behind their lines to take out their artillery, to crush their morale, to strike where they're not expecting anything, to scare their air force into obsolescence, stuff like that. In No Fail, it's about that stealthy move through the countryside. And when you are fighting, you make sure that damn sure that you have all the advantages that you have, that victory is assured, as Sun Tzu would say it, before you fire the first bullet. On the other hand, accidents happen. There's always the unexpected, and that causes some major problems, and they adapt to that. But in No Further, there's a little bit of chaos in the leadership initially in the invasion. We see that in Forlorn Hope as well. The Gogs are sort of being misutilized initially, or at least as far as they can tell. We find out in Forlorn Hope there's a little bit more intelligent design to that, but in No Further, at the very least, it's like, why are they just sending us to hold a bridge? That's not the sort of thing that we do. Why are they flying, and they're sending out this force to launch this big side strike, this big, flanking attack. See how that goes, but they're also being committed in small numbers initially that are spreading them out and making them a little bit more easy to counter as the enemy moves forward. And Nisty actually has that same frustration at the beginning of Forlorn Hope, where they're being used in small numbers in very specific kind of almost feeling sidelined initially. So, but then it escalates rapidly in Forlorn Hope, I'll say that. And it actually escalates quickly no further as well.
I'm excited to read this one. It sounds awesome. I'm excited that y'all finally got to write together in a book. Both names on the cover, So speaking of, what else do y'all have going on? What can we expect from you all in the future?
So Casey mentioned it earlier. We both just had short stories come out in Casey Ezel's Ashes of Ventiscia, Remnants of Empire anthology that came out last Friday. It's doing really well. Also, the cover on that is gorgeous. Sam Kennedy is cover goals along with Jay Caleb, right? I just started Space Hyenas 4 with Nick Steverson. We're going to try and get that knocked out in the next month or so. I have a few projects I can't talk about because secrets are fun. And at some point, probably my NaNoWriMo November crazy writing project will be Salvage Bunny 4. Oh, and oh my gosh, I can't believe I almost forgot, but September, my Valkyries novel, Shadows May Fall, from Hit World Press. Casey read it like 2 years ago.
Yeah. I was like, wait, that's not out yet?
Oh yeah, you've had that one written for a little bit.
That's why I think that's why I keep forgetting, because I wrote it.
The thing happened to me Witch Hunt that I had written it and it wasn't out for forever after that. I think these things happen sometimes. And honestly, I feel like we're kind of spoiled in the indie self-pub world, small pub indie world, because we write something and then it gets published. There's another part of the industry, and then you forget about it, and then you write the other things. You're like, oh, hey, I got a book coming out eventually.
So, well, not everything could be like this series, one a month,
right?
Rapid fire.
But I will say, if you want to get ready for my Valkyries novel, y'all should go check out Marisa Wolf's Valkyries Chosen, because not only does it kick off the Valkyrie series, it's amazing. And I had to stop reading it halfway through to yell at her because evil genius. It's awesome.
Don't forget the butts.
Read it.
Don't forget the butts. That ass. So where can people catch you in the wild, Melissa?
So I will be at Dragon Con along with Casey and a whole bunch of other yahoos. It's going to be amazing. 80,000 of your nerd friends just raging all weekend. I will also be at Deep South Con in Helen, Georgia. I planned, I'm sure, to be there at the same time as Oktoberfest, which, again, okay, twist my arm. I'll be there with Marisa Wolf and Mel Todd. We're going to be talking Valkyries with her, and it's going to be fun. That's it, I think, for the rest of this year, though, for me.
I'm excited that more of my writer friends are writing urban fantasy because it's one of my favorite genres. So,
mine too.
Good job. All right, Moops, what you got going on, bud?
Jamie Ibsen and I are now finally starting to work on the Buff Orpington series. No promised timeline on that. Both of us, are fairly busy people, but we're getting through it. We're deep into the first novel and got plans for several series of that. So that's probably the break that I'm going to take, is to crank out maybe like a few novels of Buff Orpington with him, and then come back around to Blood and Armor. I might have a lead on a project, on a different project, but that's going to stay super secret squirrel until there's anything official on that. We just had a short story and an anthology. We just had the anthology last week for Casey Ezel's universe. 2 weeks before that, Bureau 42 came out. My latest short story in the Four Horsemen universe, another bull story.
It's really good.
I also have, I'm going to say, half a dozen or so short stories that are out in the wind that'll come out eventually in some place or another. I've actually lost track of how many are just sort of hanging out somewhere, but you'll see those at some point in various places. I know I got another Death Mage War story out there. I can't even keep up anymore. I'm sorry. So now as to where to find me, I'm actually going to be at Moriarty Minicon tomorrow in Moriarty, New Mexico. So come find me there if you're anywhere in New Mexico and want to drive out to Moriarty. It's a great town. I'll be at Bubonicon here in Albuquerque the second to last week of August, or the last actual weekend of August, and then I'll be at Dragon Con the very next weekend, and Labor Day weekend.
Yes.
Oh, and Bill wants to know FactoryCon. Anybody?
So,
I'm still not making it to the Factory Con.
Mm.
I've never made it to a Factory Con. I almost made it one year, and my travel curse struck really hard, and I lost a day before I even left, and that was that.
You have the worst travel luck.
He does.
It resets periodically. I don't want to jinx things, but I might have reached an understanding with my travel curse. We'll see.
For us, while FactoryCon is amazing, it's a 2-day drive from where we're at because we've got the kids. And the last time we went, our school system slapped us with a truancy warning, even though we coordinated ahead of time and got all the schoolwork, got all the homework, did all the right things. They're like, by law, we still have to give you this warning. And we're like, okay, well, I guess we can't. Unless it lines up with their call break, we can't make it, unfortunately. Yup.
All right. Well, thank you guys. This was awesome. And if this is your first video on this series, go check out the other episodes that I did with Casey and learn more about those books. And but before you do that, here's the series. Go buy it now. And remember to rate, like, review in all the places. Sign up for the newsletters. Support your independent authors. It's the best way to do it. And from what I understand, it's an awesome series. I'm excited to read it, and I'm excited to see what else y'all got coming up. And Melissa, like I said, lives on the channel, so go check her out. And the Feral Ladies, and some of the other shows we do, but she's a main character on this show. So
I have so much fun.
Yes. Well, there's a reason we call you Senorita Cursey Pants over here. But guys, it's been a pleasure. I wish you the best of luck. I'm sure this book is going to do well. The series is going to do well. I'm excited to read it, and hopefully we'll see some more in the nearish future from this series. But phase 1 is complete, and so people can go out and read this and have a complete story, right? This phase wrapped up. So go check it out. And with that, thanks again for coming on, and I'm sure we will be seeing you two again. And if you do you two have any future writing plans together again also as well?
Oh, we're definitely gonna write again, whether it's this series or another. He has no choice. I've spoken, so
that's how it goes. All right, guys. Well, again, I appreciate y'all coming on. I'm excited for y'all. Congratulations on the release. And for everybody else in TV land, we will catch you next time.
Bye, guys.
Thank you.